Today I'm reading from chapter 14 of Zohar, and Moses went up to Elohim. This is in the section of Yisro. The section offers several interpretations of, and Moses went up to Elohim, and Hashem called to him out of the mountain, saying. One explanation is that Moses went up to the place where the Shekhinah's wings are outspread. The discussion turns to the issue of perfection, and we hear that there is always awe or dread when in the presence of perfection of all. The title first is then applied first to Moses, then God, and finally to the four bonds of earth, air, water, and fire. Rabbi Shimon hears Rabbi Yessa tell of a dream wherefrom Rabbi Yessa finally remembered and understood that Chachma was above, Tiferet below, and Malchut the sanctuary of God that lay between them. The last interpretation reminds us that whoever comes to be purified is always assisted. 2:45, and Moses went up to Elohim, and Hashem called him out of the mountain, saying, this is from Shemos, Exodus, and Moses went up to Elohim means that Hashem went up to the place where the wings of the Shekhinah are outspread. As is written in Tehillim, he bowed the heavens also and came down. 2:46, we've learned that Rabbi Yehuda said, as long as the legislations of the supernal king adhere to their proper places, meaning they balance between right and left, all the worlds are with joy, and all the works are maintained properly. As is written, the work of Hashem. That is tremendous in Shemos. What does tremendous mean? Rabbi Elazar says it's the perfection of all, as is written in Devarim, Deuteronomy. A great El, a mighty and terrible. What does terrible mean? This is Jacob's central column first written in Bereshit, Genesis. And Jacob was a plain man. Plain means, according to the Aramaic translation, a complete man. Perfect in all. Thus, all the deeds of the Holy One, blessed be, are perfect in wholeness and are perfectly maintained. 2:47, as we learned, Rabbi Yossi explained that one day while he was standing before Rabbi Yehuda Saba, the elder, he asked him how the meaning of the verse of Genesis, and he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? What did Jacob see that frightened him and made him call it dreadful? Rabbi Yehuda explained that he saw there the perfection of the holy faith, which is Malchut. That was frequent in that place as it is above, and any place where his perfection is found is called dreadful. 2:48. I asked him, if that's so, why then is the word dreadful translated into Aramaic as fear and not perfection? For if dreadful means perfection, it should have been translated as perfection. He answered, there's no awe but in a place where perfection is found. And any place in which there's completeness is called dreadful, as it is written, O fear Hashem, you saints of his. For those who fear him, there's no lack. That's from Tehillim. We can learn from this verse, there's no lack, that awe is completeness. For wherever there's no deficiency, there's completeness. 2:49, we studied who's ascended up into heaven and come down. That's Mishlei, Proverbs from King Solomon. Rabbi Yossi said that it is Moses, for it is written, and Moses went up to Elohim, and Shemot, which again is Exodus, who's gathered the wind in his fists. Mishlei, Proverbs. It's Aaron, as is written, and his hands are full of sweet incense, beaten small. That's Vayikra, which is Leviticus. Who has bound the waters in a garment. That is Eliyahu, as is written in Malachim, Kings 1. There shall not be dew or rain in these years, but according to my word. Who's established all the ends of the earth? It is Abraham, of whom it is written, these are the generations of the heaven and of the earth. They were created Behi Baram in Bereshit, Genesis. Do not pronounce it Behi Baram, but Abraham, by Abraham, spelled with the same letters, literally. 2:50, he taught this and said, who's ascended up to heaven? The Holy One, blessed be, of whom is written, Elohim has gone up with a shout. That's from Tehillim, Psalms by King David. Who gathered the wind in his fist? The Holy One, blessed be, of whom it is written, in whose hands is the soul of every living thing. That's Eov, Job. And here also Eov. Who has bound the waters in a garment? The Holy One, blessed be he, of whom it is written. He binds up the waters in his thick clouds. Who has established all the ends of the earth? The Holy One, blessed be, of whom it is written in Bereshit, Genesis, in the day that Hashem Elohim made the earth and the heavens. Rabbi Yossi continued further and said, who went up in the heaven and came down? Those are the four bonds of the world, fire, air, water, and earth. 2:51, Rabbi Yossi said, it is evident that Rabbi Yessa said, it's evident that Rabbi Yossi's interpretations of this verse have no hold, for they're incomplete with each other. For when Rabbi Shimon heard them, he put his hand on the head of Rabbi Yossi and blessed him, saying, your interpretations are quite right and well said, and it is indeed so. Where have you learned this? And he answered, I learned it from my father. From my father who heard it from Rab Hamnuna Saba the elder. 252. One day Rabbi Shimon was sitting at the gate of Tzipori when Rabbi Yossi said to him that which Rabbi Yossi said, who has ascended up to the heavens and came down. He applied once to Moses and then to the Holy One, blessed be, and finally said that these are the four bonds, fire, air, water, and earth. And I saw my master blessed him. 253. Rabbi Shimon said assuredly that what he said is well spoken, and so it is. All are the same, and all things apply to the Holy One, blessed be, and all of them amount to the same thing. Rabbi Yossi became excited by the words of Rabbi Shimon, and he said, this is indeed so. And on another occasion I learned from my master the explanation of the verse, these are the generations of the heaven and of the earth when they were created. Hebrew Behibaram. Don't read Behibaram, but rather Be'abraham and Abraham with the same letters, namely with chesed of Zeir Anpin, or the smaller face, or like the personal person versus the like all person. I don't know how to explain it that well. I'm still learning. We don't need to know. It's just the version of us that's could be interactive, could be substanced. Even if not in physical substance, but could be substance. Could exist, the existing parts, actuals. But not necessarily in form and actualization yet. Namely, chesed of Zeir Anpin, as is written in Psalms, for I've said the world is built by kindness, which is chesed. You would say it's kindness or expansion or anyway. And all the other names, Moses, Aaron, Eliyahu, and the four elements, fire, air, water, and earth, are all names of the Holy One, blessed be He. 254. This is well said, but what's the meaning of the last part of the verse? What's his name and what's his son's name that you should know in Mishlei, Proverbs? I can understand what's his name, but what about his son's name? Rabbi Shimon replied, I've already taught the secret of this verse to my son Rabbi Eliezer. He said to him, please tell me, Master, if I've asked you in a dream concerning it and I've forgotten the answer. He replied, now if I tell you, will you remember? Rabbi Yossi answered, assuredly, for what my master teaches by daytime I remember. 255, he said, the secret of it is connected with the verse, Yisro is my son, my firstborn, in Shemos, Exodus, and Yisro, in whom I will be glorified, from Isaiah, Yeshaya. And it is in the supernal secret of this verse that Yisro signifies Tiferet, and it's called his son. Rabbi Yossi replied, be assured, my master, that I know this secret. Yet Rabbi Mesa could not remember what he was told in his dream, and distressed, he went home and slept. Then he had a dream in which he was shown a book of Haggadah where it's written, Chachma and Tiferet are in his sanctuary. Chachma might be called wisdom, and Tiferet might be called the heart, the showing up place. When he awoke, he went to, or Kayachma, like the energy of what? Of not needing to know, always something new, possibility. And Tiferet is like that balance of expansion, constriction, that up, low, middle, left, that core. When he awoke, he went to Rabbi Shimon and kissed his hand, saying, thus I was shown in my dream, and some other time I saw in a dream, a book of Haggadah where it was written, Chachma and Tiferet in his sanctuary, Chachma above, Tiferet below, and his sanctuary, which is Malchut, by them. This is what I once saw in my dream, and these words were on my lips. Then Rabbi Shimon said to him, until now you were too young to be enumerated among the reapers of the field, meaning those knowledgeable in secrets, but now everything has been shown to you, and this is the meaning of the verse. What's his name and what's his son's name that you should know? Chachma is his name, and Tiferet is his son's name. For Chachma and Bina are Abba and Ima of Tiferet, as is known. And Moses went up to Elohim, 257. Happy is the portion of Moses for being worthy of this honor to which the Torah itself testifies. Come and behold the difference between Moses and all the other men of the world. When other men rise, they rise in richness or they rise in greatness or kingship. But what Moses is written, and Moses went up to Elohim. Blessed is his share. Finally, 258, the last part from this portion. Rabbi Yossi said from this verse, the friends deduced that he who comes to be purified is assisted, for it's written, and Moses went up to Elohim, and afterwards it's written, and Hashem called him, thus he desires to come nearer. Thus he who desires to come nearer is brought nearer.